we would have.
Did you start the interview?
Yeah.
We started without you.
Oh, good, good.
So you're just don't let him know what I said when he was not here. But
I won't.
We'll just
Yeah, it's between me and you.
You ready, Jay? J-Dub?
Look, is he ready? Jay, you ready? Yeah. Okay.
Are we recording?
And I can drink anytime.
Yeah.
Like I can.
Hold
okay.
on one second.
Sure.
Let me make sure. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. Okay. Let's do it.
The words have gotten all distorted. What they meant to say was not reported. Before the torches come to town, we gonna burn this fort down.
Welcome back, English-speaking people and some of those who can read lips. We are Brenton Payne, and I am J.W. Wilson. This is our little baby called FORTitude.
Thanks for saying that to you or me.
Well, I
Nice.
pointed to you, then I said me. Our special guest today is the head coach of TCU Volleyball, Jill Kramer. Jill, I want you to know we had a pre-recording argument, which is pretty typical for our shows. It gets pretty volatile, but it's all because we love each other so much. But we always figure it out right before the show starts, and things just go smoothly. So welcome for being here.
Is that the way
Thank
JW
you.
apologized? I think that was. Did you hear an
Yes.
apology
Was that
in there,
an
Jill?
For what?
What am I apologizing for, though? That's
Just being.
I was
J-Dub.
lost. He was talking about argument, and I never heard what it was
okay,
about.
Good.
So
Well, just pretend you
I was
never
having a
heard
hard
any of
time
that.
following. It's a great way to start this off.
In case, before we get to talking to you, in case you're wondering why there's a jar of jelly beans in front of you on the desk, I think we've had a couple of people text me and said, "Why do you have jelly beans on the desk?" I was like, "Well, there's a story here, and I have to share the secret because it's really funny."
Okay.
Our audio video guy's guy named Jay Fitzgerald. I think you know Jay.
I do know Jay.
He's sitting over here to our left. Well, my friend Brenton Payne here decided to play the Bean Boozled trick, where you put jelly beans in a bowl and you mix in some Bean Boozled. For those of you who aren't familiar with Bean Boozled, they give you regular tasting jelly beans and they give you some that taste like, let's see, I had some notes.
Skunk.
Skunk's one of them.
Old Bandage.
Dirty dishwater. Dead fish, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, we did this with these jelly beans, and our esteemed colleague, Jay Fitzgerald, I guess he's a jelly bean aficionado. He's been eating these all week. You can see the dish is a little lower. It was full. But we have not heard hiding our hair from Jay whether they were good or bad. He's just eating them. He's enjoying them the whole time. So, Jay, we wanted you to know this secret because apparently you've been eating lot of dead fish, dirty skunk, Band-Aid jelly beans.
When you're 6'7", what does taste really matter?
We had Oh yes, I guess when you mix them all together,
Yeah.
they taste like something decent. So, anyway, that out of the way, I spilled our secret. I'm sorry, but it's actually a funny little thing we wanted to share. So,
Would you like a jelly bean, Jill?
Yeah,
No, I'm
please
good.
Okay.
Enjoy a jelly bean.
I'm good.
Well, welcome to the show, Jill Kramer. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for joining us.
Thanks.
We have a lot to talk about today. Right out of the gate, I know you from school.
Right.
We were at the school at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You were the first scholarship player in the history of TCU volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
This is a cool story. Tell us how, when you got to school and you were a fantastic player, I remember watching you several times, but what led to that decision and how did that go in your life?
Yeah, I actually hadn't heard much of TCU at all because they did not have a volleyball team before that, right? So it was the first team ever. And if you're going recruiting, you're doing all these things, you're not paying attention to a school that doesn't have your sport, right?
Yeah.
So I knew nothing about it. My parents were Aggies, right? And so every place I was looking was out of state. And back then,
And you grew up in San Antonio,
grew
right?
up in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Back then, late 90s, you didn't make a decision until your senior year. That just didn't happen.
Right.
And so at least
What high school?
at least in volleyball, East Central,
East Central.
home of also LaVarville.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lavar, good
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Good guy.
So anyway, all my options were out of state. And as it got closer to time to make a decision, I decided I wanted to stay in state. And I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And then being an option, there were two All-Americans that were going to play in front of me that I was going to need to catch up to. And I you want to compete, but like, I knew I wanted to play. I knew I needed to play to be like really happy. And so, it became
Was the
TCU.
select thing full blown at that time? Were you playing on a select team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. And it was just much smaller.
Yeah.
Like you were only playing if you were going to go play in college.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive. It costs so much money.
Right.
And so your parents were, honestly, your parents were looking at it as an investment for your college tuition.
Had you come up here and seen Fort Worth or been in the Metroplex playing tournaments and stuff like that?
Yeah, not so much Fort Worth, but Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas, Arlington. There was a lot, like Arlington Martin was really good at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did we were up here a lot, and it was a time where like each club had probably one team per age group, and that was it.
Yeah.
And you were playing every other weekend pretty much, and you were playing the same girls every weekend. And literally on our weekends off, we would I would go to Austin, or I'd go to Houston, or I'd go to Dallas, and I'd hang out with those same people that I was playing against.
Yeah.
That's how small the community was. So
always on the road though. Never in one place at one time for very long.
No. Yeah. Every weekend it was something different.
So how do they recruit? They say, hey, we're starting up a volleyball team. You want to come on? Like, I mean,
they came and watched me play some high school matches, and because that was still important then, especially when you're making a decision as a senior.
Mm-hmm.
And the signing date that I went with was in I think either end of January, beginning of February. I mean, I made a decision like 2 or 3 days before that.
Who was your coach?
Sandy Trout.
Did they have other players that were appealing to you too? Like you knew from kind of that they said that we got this person, you could be part of it?
Well, absolutely. And it goes back to hanging out with those other girls, right?
Yeah.
It was actually a bunch of people we were playing with and against every weekend who became my teammates.
And you could kind of envision the success of it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so you join this program. You guys get off on a pretty decent start at first. I mean, it was rough, but you guys are building the foundation of something.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I was trying to be gentle there.
No, you don't need to be gentle. I like keeping it real.
You were excelling. We all who knew you thought you were excelling. You ended up holding the record for kills per set, and total attack. That stood for a while. In fact, most of them are still in effect today. So
a lot of them.
You obviously are doing something decent
Definitions,
there.
Please.
We're going to get to that here in a little bit. So you end up earning your BA in marketing in 2000, same year I graduated. Brenton was probably about 20 years past college at that point.
Yeah.
One thing I saw on your bio, this might be before, after, what's USA CAP level 1 and 2 certifications? Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, they're courses that you take to coach with USA Volleyball.
Okay.
So, and for instance, in 2011, I was an assistant for the women's junior national team, women's junior under 20 team.
Gotcha.
And played in the world championships and coached them there. Actually, my current assistant Haley Eckerman played on that team.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how my relationship started with her. So
let's see. You graduate. And you go on to start at, is it UTSA, your first gig?
I was a grad assistant at Incarnate Word for a short stint.
Incarnate Word. Mm-hmm.
And started my MBA.
Okay.
I got married during that time to a Dutchman.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so
I believe we call him Willem.
Willem.
Yeah.
And so he was going through a whole visa process and couldn't work for a year.
Was he at school there? Is that how y'all met?
No, he was scandalous. He's a little older than me. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so we were living on my GA stipend.
Oh, wow.
That's tight.
That's tight. Huh? And my part-time Starbucks job.
That's not an
so that we had insurance.
A barista as
I was a barista.
Wow.
I could work part-time and get benefits for us. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I didn't complete my MBA because a full-time assistant position came open at UTSA for a whopping $18,000 a year. Wow. Which at the end of that, at the end of my first year, they come back and tell me like, hey, we got to give you $6,000 more because this is a full-time benefits position and we're not paying you minimum wage to meet that right now.
That's good to hear.
But I was just having so much fun.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't care.
Were you like, we can go and visit your family now in Europe because we have this money?
Yeah.
We're living high on the hog now. How did we meet Mr. Willem, by the way?
Yeah.
Is that a story you want to share?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's a physical therapist, but trained in the Netherlands, right? And so he was looking for a job in the States, and he didn't want to just treat soccer players. He wanted to come to the US and treat all kinds of athletes. And so TCU gave him a crack at some things as he was, things were different 25 years ago, right? Yeah. And I never had shoulder surgery or anything, but he treated my shoulder. He fixed it, and so I married him.
Yeah.
Wow. He must have been really good at fixing powers.
Is the most common injury in volleyball shoulders?
Ankle, probably. I'd say ankle, knee, shoulder. Yeah, ankle, knee, shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
UTSA is happening. You're an assistant there. You're learning. You're learning the business of coaching. after Incarnate Word.
Yeah.
Then Alabama comes calling, correct?
Yeah.
How did that conversation and how that transition happen?
Well, when I was UTSA, I was also coaching club.
That's Alamo Volleyball Club, correct?
Alamo Volleyball Club.
Okay.
So I directed that as well. And you kind of had to do both because we didn't have a recruiting budget at UTSA. At a mid-major, you didn't then. So you coached both. And my club team was really good. And not because I was their coach, because they had been since they were 12, 13, and I had them when they were 17.
Yeah.
And they just medaled every year. They were amazing. And so I connected with all these other coaches, and you're coaching them, and the coach at Alabama, Judy Green, was recruiting some of our players, and we connected, and that's how that happened.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Your time there was short. It was 1 year?
Yeah, two seasons, I think.
But you made the NCAA tournament one of those years.
Both times.
Both times? So that was a first for that program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
no, we just kept it going. They made it the first time the year before.
My bio's falling apart in front of me.
It's okay.
From there, you get recruited to go coach at Virginia, which you stayed for another year. How did that transition happen?
The coach that got the UVA job, his name's Lee Mays, and he was an assistant head coach, I think they called it, at Nebraska. Okay. And they had done really well. I think they won a national championship there, and he got hired at UVA. Well, I had coached with Lee for a few years on these USA programs, like high performance programs. And so you're coaching high school aged kids in the summer.
It's outside of the season, outside of the collegiate season.
And it's the hopefuls for the youth junior national teams. So we took a team to Europe together, and we really did coach for like 2 or 3 years together. So went to UVA with him, and that was fun. Like helping build a program, right? I think I was there 2.5 years, 3 seasons, I think.
Did you recruit? Would you?
I was the recruiting coordinator.
And you would take kids who played with you in the summers? That was like the gold mine?
We would try. I mean, that was a way to recruit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From Virginia, then it gets real. You are hired at West Virginia to be their head volleyball coach. Right. So now you're leading the program. You had some good successes there. I'd say great in some respects, but now you're running a program, and you're obviously around the world, around the country, finding these kids. Right. And back to Brenton's earlier point, recruiting. What are kids, girls at this point? What do they want in a coach, a program at that point? And maybe we'll talk about more later on. But when you're recruiting these girls, what are they after? Besides is it just wins? Is it you, the coach? Is it the program? Yeah. How's it different from other sports that we might know of here?
Well, I think it depends on the program and being able to like sell what you've got, have a vision for what you're working with at your given institution. Yeah. And finding the young women that are going to fit that. Right. And so at West Virginia, like, I just felt like it was like this little, when I went to go see it, I just felt like it was like this little untapped, had this untapped potential. They had the same coach for 35 years, right? So, and I knew that the athletic director had just gotten hired. His name's Oliver Luck. And we had recruited his daughter, Mary Ellen, when I was at UVA. So I got to know the Luck family really well. And I actually took that job the day before the season started on August 9th, which was very interesting. So
like my partner, you were prepared to start the process, right?
I like to take risks.
A little bit of luck in there.
Yeah, a little bit of luck.
I can't get off the luck term and the little coal town, little gold mine that you got going, the mining town.
Well, Morgantown has a lot of character, and it's it was a lot of fun. It was a place where you could really, I had learned as a player. And even when I chose to go to Virginia, I had other programs that I could have gone to as an assistant that were like established perennial powers. Mm-hmm. And that's not really, I like to build and to help people see their untapped potential. And anyway, there's some things at WVU that like your academic profile is, I mean, it is what it is, and you can get a lot of athletes in there. Yeah. That you can't get at a school with maybe a harder admission standards, right? So like foreign student athletes, they didn't have to take the TOEFL. Like there's different things that could happen there that are going to be pretty helpful. They had a lot of general studies programs where you're not really getting a major. You can do all kinds of different things. So it really is. It's finding your niche within within
how much
any
are you coming
environment
back here to recruit up there? Right? How much are you using kind of your roots and where you grew up and the relationships you had in the state of Texas to bring athletes up to that?
A lot. There were a lot.
Yeah.
We had a lot of kids from Texas, and especially once we joined the Big 12.
Yeah.
We did recruit a lot of Texas though when we were in the first 2 years we were in the Big East. And so there was a lot of that, but like especially when we joined the Big 12, I mean, yeah.
Where are the hotbeds in volleyball recruiting? Texas, California, where else? Florida?
Yeah. Yes. And Midwest.
Midwest.
You know, the Midwest is really good. You know, Chicago, Ohio, Wisconsin, all that area, Minnesota. Big 10 volleyball is really good.
What's the number one quality you look for in a recruit? Like, what's the one thing that you're like, you talk about untapped potential. You sit in and you say, you know what? I want that one because of this.
Ooh. Well, some of it
talent, right?
Yeah. Some of it's also about the position that they're playing, you know, what their skill set needs to be. I think having a really competitive mindset, and what I'm seeing more and more of is making certain if we're taking athletic ability out of it, right? Because that's just you got to have that.
They
right?
wouldn't be in front of you if they didn't have it.
Yeah, but their commitment to learn and grow daily, the difference between young women that come into a program with a really fixed mindset on like, I'm good or I'm bad, or they're good or you know, they're bad. They have a really hard time when you get to college, just because you, like, regardless of what happened the day before, you need to come to the gym and be around your teammates in a way every day that you're willing to get better and make changes. Right. And if you don't have that, like when you're recruiting, you're literally recruiting someone's potential.
Yeah.
And if you were talking about parents a lot earlier and stuff, if they're also around parents who are going to help them stay in that like fixed mindset, it's tough. And especially when you're in the Metroplex and if you're recruiting the Metroplex.
Yeah.
You know, because they're around their parents a lot.
Yeah.
In West Virginia, we were on this little island, you know, like you're away from everybody and you can really kind of like mold them. But now here, what I've noticed is different. And I really love it is, it's a bigger family. Like your team is a bigger family just because everyone is so much more involved because everybody can be here all the time. And that's a really cool thing.
Helpful in some places, but not so helpful in others, right?
No, I think when you do it right, it's really, really helpful all the time.
Yeah.
Like because here's the thing, like part of the beauty of recruiting this area is you get to play in front of your family.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Not once a year or twice a year, like all the time. You get to be a hometown hero. Yeah. You know, and especially with all this NIL stuff, that is huge. Right. So I think that's a beauty and that's a blessing. Yeah. You know, like it, and you got to do it right.
Did you find that you played better in front of your family growing up?
I honestly don't even remember, but I do think that it is a huge stressor that you're taking off someone to be able to, you know, be able to go home on Sunday every once in a while to have dinner, or if you want to go home to do your laundry. Yeah. Not have your mom do it, of course, but if you want to go home to do your own laundry or something, there's just this added stress when you go off to college and you've got to go through being homesick for the first time. And you've got to, you know, like you've got to miss out on something that happens that's really great with your family or not so great with your family. And you can't just, you know, even if it's Austin or San Antonio or Houston, not just, you know, drive down there, you know, for a little stint. So I don't know. I think it's a huge advantage to be able to recruit this state because of that.
Yeah. Jill, so you have success at WVU, and the story, I'm going to butcher it because I've heard it a bunch of times, but it's a good one. Okay. You know the story well, but you get a call from a guy by the name of Crystal Conti, TCU athletic director. And I don't know if that's how it originated, but he ends up offering you the job at TCU. At the initial meeting, something happens there involving some alcohol. Do you recall this story? I love this story, and I'm hoping you'll tell it in the correct version. Yeah. Is this a fair request?
I can do that. I don't mind.
He's no longer here, as you know, and we can talk about him.
I don't know what's happened to the moonshine. I don't know where it went. He told me we would drink it one day, but we never did. So I think culture is important. I think when you're in a space, and that's what I loved about being in Tuscaloosa and in Charlottesville and in Morgantown, which like Charlottesville is very different from both Tuscaloosa and Morgantown. Like it's night and day. Yeah. But I think like really living into the culture in each one of those environments is really important. And I actually really just adored the culture at West Virginia. I really did.
Mhm.
And the people there, they're great. And
They're all related, right?
yeah, no, they're not.
Wait, what?
But those, like Bob Huggins, I love that guy. Dale Wolfley, I don't know if y'all see him doing stuff. Owen Schmidt, like all those guys, they're just awesome, right? And so, anyway, it went down. They did interviews at the Final Four that year. Actually, I think Haley Eckerman, again, the assistant that I have right now, Haley Eckerman, was actually playing that night in the Final Four, but. This was supposed to be like I don't know. It's one of those like churn and burn for them. Like they're bringing somebody in every 30 minutes or hour. And we end up talking for like 3 hours. I mean, we were there for a long, long time, and it was close to Christmas. And so I had brought just a bottle of moonshine as a Christmas gift.
Jar or bottle?
A bottle.
Okay.
Apple pie, I think.
Yes.
It was apple or peach. But so at the end of it, I just put it on the table and I said, Merry Christmas, y'all. Yeah.
Done.
Just living into the culture.
Done deal.
Just living into the culture.
Greatness.
Indeed. So
And I was in a good space. I was really happy at West Virginia. I don't think I would have left for anywhere but here at the time. Really.
the money was just too great. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, so
for sure.
well done. So you become the third head coach in the history of the program.
Mhm.
You're off and running, right? So now you're recruiting in a place you obviously know well and you've spent time playing.
Yeah.
That's got to feel fantastic. What is your initial experience coaching here? Is it overwhelming? How are we doing with that?
It has its times, right? Like I think, I mean, Jamie and David could probably say the same. There's a handful of assistants on the football staff, right?
Yeah.
You have this, feeling of responsibility that is so great, and I think managing that is because a season ebbs and flows, right?
Yeah.
And you want to keep your eyes going in the right direction all the time. And it does, like you're human, it doesn't always happen, right? And so, but I think you do have an affinity for the program in a totally different way, for sure. But I do absolutely.
I liked what you said about kind of, talking about the players and coming in new day each day. So do you do that the same? I mean, I think that's probably one of the most important things in your line of work, and then teaching that to those kids too.
Yeah. I think you're like a dealer in hope, pretty much.
Oh, very good.
I have a big, it's on my mantle in my home. It's lit up all the time. Just as hope, because I think that is the biggest thing that you're doing as a coach, right?
Yeah.
And just humanity in general, just as a fellow human, right? And so I think helping young women see their full potential, like I talked about earlier, and I think volleyball is a vehicle a little bit for me of it is undoubtedly more about every one of these young women leaving TCU in a way where they feel like they can go out and conquer the world and whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's very important to me. Like if we're recruiting someone and they're not passionate about something academically, or if they are so passionate about volleyball that like they're going to be a coach.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's one thing. You can be really passionate about your sport and it's going to take you to coaching.
Yeah.
But if they don't have that, they have got to be passionate about something outside of sport. And as a volleyball staff, our goal is to help them leave with whatever degree they want to be leaving with.
Yeah.
That is really important because, there's more and more professional opportunities being provided every day for volleyball, literally. But right now, really they have to go overseas to go play. And so they need to have the degree anybody needs to, right, to fall back on because of injury or whatever. But so that's really important. And sometimes it's not the best. Sometimes the avenue they choose to go academically isn't absolutely the best thing for your team.
Right.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they have to miss an hour of practice or a day of practice a week, but it's our job as a staff to work through that and bring them in at a different time of day and figure it out.
Punish them accordingly. I get it. Well, I'm glad you brought up education, Jill, because one thing you're known for is your girls, generally speaking, all get their degrees, respective degrees, and they're solid in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Very admirable job in that regard. That's one thing I've liked about you since you got started coaching. You're very good about getting your girls to go to school, go to class, and get their respective degrees. Like I said, that's awesome. Congrats on that.
Thanks.
Now back to TCU real quick. Right out of the gate, you get here in 2015. You go to the NCAA, your first birth, the second in school history. You do this in a pretty awesome fashion. You swept number 2 UTA. It's your school's first win over a top 5 program. You remember all this?
Yeah.
Because it's been a few years.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Then next year you get to second birth. You beat Wichita State in the first round. That was your 100th win, if you recall that. That was an exciting moment around Fort Worth when that happened. Your strength of schedule that year in 2016 was number 1. Your is it called RPI in volleyball?
Strength of schedle for the RPI.
You had the hardest strength of schedule in the entire country, which is incredible. And you still take it to the NCAA tournament where you beat Wichita State. End of the year, you were ranked 21st in the country. The very next year, your third straight NIVC berth. So you're 3 in a row. You're just going crazy. Are things piling on, like recruiting getting harder? Your world's obviously blossoming well there at that point.
Yeah.
You have some whatever you're doing is working. What would you say to us that do you have like secrets? Why are you so successful in this regard?
Well, there were a lot of people that did some pretty hard work before I got here, right? Like, I think the previous staff did a good job we had a lot of rising juniors and seniors, and I think they just needed a little nudge, a different nudge. And the work that they did the previous 2 years, it's a big part of it. I think getting their heads in the right direction. We brought in a couple transfers that were significant at that point in time. Some of them could play immediately, some of them couldn't. Because of transfer rules. The setter came with me from West Virginia, who's very, very good. And our scout side was amazing my first year here because we had a couple kids that can play. So, and then they got to be a part of everything and they could tack it on in 16. So 17, we lost, 8-9 kids because to graduation. So then you're in this rebuilding and a mix of transfers and players who hadn't seen any playing time in the previous years, and kind of what I learned from that, because then in the next couple of years those young men may become juniors and seniors and need to play significant roles for us. And I hadn't had a time where there were a lot of freshmen who weren't playing, and I didn't feel like we did a good enough job as a staff developing them, and more importantly, continuing to build our relationship and their confidence. Because they weren't playing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, I've changed some things looking, just trying to evaluate that. We changed some things to where, if someone's not playing as much their freshman year, I make it a point to spend a lot of time with them outside of the court. So maybe I'm meeting with them and watching video, or I'm their point person for academics so that they know that, I'm paying attention to them. Right. They might not be on the court, but I'm paying attention to them. Yeah. So that's something that I would have done different. That's something I would have done different. But no secret sauce. Just
So you have
approaching it, like a new day every day.
Very good. So you have another successful season in the NCAA tournament berth in 19. Your postseason record overall 7-4, which is fantastic. 19, you have the first sellout in program history for the season. Here we are today. Yeah. So before we go on with what's happening this year, some of the best players you've coached in your tenure. Oof. You name. I mean, there's
in my entire tenure or
entire
here at TCU?
Tenure. Let's go entire tenure.
Entire tenure.
Well, clearly that center you brought from West Virginia, right? One of them.
Yeah, this setter. Center is basketball.
Sorry.
Well, I'm just trying to we won't take in all the USA kids, right? Because
make it simple, Jill. Let's go TCU.
Let's go TCU. Yep. Ashley Smith, amazing. She's actually going to UT Southwestern now for, I think it's called UT Southwestern Medical School.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Is
really
that
good
it?
one. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Like
she got in
tops.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's amazing.
I guess you work
She's
with
like
her on the
legitimately
academic
the
stuff, too.
All-American
Yeah.
girl, you know? Ashley Smith, Natalie Gower was an All-American here as well. Lamprini is the setter that came from West Virginia, did an amazing job here. There's a young woman who I coached at UVA before I left, Mackenzie Adams. She's playing professionally in Turkey right now, played in Italy last year in the A-League. Like she could be on the national team at some point potentially.
You stay in touch with these people?
Absolutely. Mackenzie comes and coaches camp for us every year.
Nice.
So it's important. All those relationships are really, really important.
Yeah.
You know?
So is the European scene just booming? I mean, is it huge volleyball?
Yeah, really big. I mean, but in the US, I mean, high school volleyball is only second to membership in track and field. Like it's the second most played sport in the country among young women in high school.
But it's pretty minimal on the right? Like it's just
they just started this I mean they've tried over and over and over again. But it just hasn't stuck. And hopefully there's a couple leagues that'll stick. Last year, Athletes Unlimited started one. Katie Carter, Hector Gutierrez's wife, played in it. She volunteered for us before, got in the gym with our young women, and now she's commentating. She's the color for our matches this year. So that was actually in Dallas. It played in the State Fair area, right? I think they're going to have it again in that same venue. And they're starting a new one. I just tweeted about it the other day. I think it's called Love. And it's run on the principle of, I think they're going to run it alongside of some youth clubs, which I think is all along. I feel like that's the way it should have gone. That's a little bit of the buildup of European soccer, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's pretty awesome.
How come you think it hasn't taken? Like that you just...
I really don't know. I think, some of it is just money, like who's going to invest in it. And I think getting used to it and it being a part of something that you can actually go watch and do. And if somebody can just stick with it long enough, I think you can build the fan base. And we just haven't been able, like I actually, when I graduated, I think they were starting one at the time, and it probably stuck around the longest. Don't hold me to that. That's a guess. But it just didn't quite make it.
The Olympics have to help it. Like I remember we watched a lot of...
I think Olympics help beach a lot.
Okay.
But
like even the indoor stuff, like we noticed...
You watched it?
Oh yeah. Like much more so this time around than before. Like took an interest in it.
I know why you were watching it, sir.
No, I said we were watching the indoor, not the beach.
Creepy.
Again, the indoor, not the beach.
Okay. Anyway, let's pretend for a second that my partner doesn't know much about volleyball.
Yeah.
We don't really have to pretend, but
sure.
There's some things in some terminology that we wanted to ask you so we can clear up some things for those who might not know everything about volleyball.
Okay.
Yes, I jumped out of order. Remember, about 30 minutes ago,
okay.
I asked.
I told you,
that's okay.
Tangents, no
There's
order.
no center, we know that.
Yeah.
So what is a setter?
A setter is like a quarterback.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe it. So you're trying to play. She usually has the second contact.
Same color jersey? Not the different color jersey one?
Same color jersey. And everyone will try to pass or, get the first ball to the setter, and then she will distribute the offense.
Libero,
that is a passing and defensive player. Only can play in the back row, cannot attack. So cannot attack the ball above the top of the tape, even from behind the 3 meter line, 10-foot line.
Dutch origins of this name?
No, Italian. It means free.
I'm kidding. I was going with your husband's.
Well, I'm just trying to show that I know what I'm talking about.
Italian, so free? Is that where it comes
free
from?
in Italian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
specialist.
Defensive specialist, or just any defensive specialist?
Okay. This is one I don't actually really know. I think I did, but the person on the court that's got the different color jersey.
Yeah.
What is this person?
Oh, that's libero.
That's okay. Libero. I even said it wrong.
Yeah.
It's libero.
Well,
not a
I don't know how you.
specialist?
Actually, I don't know how you say it in Italian. So you'll have to look that up.
That
for me.
designates them.
Did you want to Google it?
No.
That designates them as a libero.
What'd you say?
The libero is designated by the jersey, the different jersey. Okay.
Yeah, and so you can switch that from set to set.
It's interesting you say, though, that the definition is free when they're not really free because they can't go up to the net, right?
No. But they do not count as a substitution, which means that that's the free part. they can come in and out of the game freely.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I should have clarified what that meant.
No, but that's perfect. But they can't not freely roam the court, right? That's not with that.
No, they
It's
can't be in the
free-
front row, but they can
sub.
freely go in and out.
Okay.
What is the person who hugs the net, the tall person?
Okay.
They have a designation?
If they're in the middle of the court, they're the middle blocker.
Middle blocker?
Yeah, and they're kind of like, they're the first line of defense for us, okay? And so they're going to make what we would call a blocking call. We have hand signals for a blocking call, all right? And so that the back row and the pin blockers, we call pin is another term for antenna. Okay. It's the candy stripe, red stripe.
Mm-hmm.
So those are pin blockers, left side, right side.
But do they rotate after every serve, right?
Yeah. They rotate, but they can switch once the ball's served. They can go wherever they want once the ball's served.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope you don't feel cheapened by this line of questioning.
No, we get this all the time. I mean, this is like, you can, I know no rules of hockey. None. Yeah. I would not know what's going on.
What is a dig?
A dig is when the other team attacks a ball at you, hits a ball at you,
right?
Spikes a ball at you, however you want to call it. It's the first play on the ball.
Yeah.
That would be considered a dig.
Tool.
Not the block, but
Gotcha. Tool.
A tool is when you attack, all right, and you utilize the block to score a point. So if I hit the blocker's hands and it bounces off of the block into a point where
goes out of bounds.
You could play a tooled block, but like a real tool, like a kill from a tool is when you use the block to score.
Sometimes is when you're
which
on a
is
podcast,
like my favorite thing. So
is somebody referred to a tool?
Ooh, you're getting fish-eyed.
I know.
Getting fish-eyed, dude.
Let's progress on. How about my favorite, Joust?
Joust. Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember the video game are you too old for that or too young? Joust, the video game, arcade game.
Just say yes.
I just haven't spent a lot of time playing video games
because I am too young. You're definitely the same age, so you're too young too.
Yeah. So a joust, actually, we'll do this in practice sometimes. So instead of like rock paper scissors or to see like who serves first or who gets the ball first, I'll toss a ball up. So if the volleyball is 50-50, so like half of the ball's on one side of the net, half like right above the net. You have two blockers go up and push on the ball at the same time. That's a joust, and you're trying to win the joust, right?
Okay.
So you're trying to have the bigger push and score the point at the net.
Have you ever been involved in a joust before, Brenton?
Only when he was a gladiator.
Right,
yes.
Right.
I did go to medieval times one time for a birthday, and I do remember that sport.
I've never been there.
You haven't?
Never.
If you get it's good when you're young, kind of thing.
I can't take my cats.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite, and it's such a popular term that a company was formed because of it. Side out, right?
Yeah.
Side out. What does side out mean for?
So a side out is, excuse me, when the other team is serving at you. If you win that point, at some point, it's a side out.
Because you can only get a point when you serve.
No, that would have been when I played. That was the rule.
Why did they change it?
Actually, for TV, those matches could last forever. Yeah.
Really?
And when there's a point scored every time. I mean, my thought is TV. It changed internationally first, but I think it had a lot to do with that.
Just the time of the match.
Yeah, it can be a little bit more, not static, but it can be a little bit more defined.
Yeah.
Each set takes about 20 minutes typically. So basically, like there's a difference between a side out and a first ball side out. So a first ball side out is when you pass, set, kill immediately on the first shot. You see a lot more of that in men's volleyball.
Wait, so it's side out would be they serve it, it comes over, I give it to my setter, JW sets it, my person slams it, point immediately. So it's like
I would set for you, sir.
Oh, so there's no rally involved, essentially. It's like a point scored when there's no rally involved.
Correct.
Okay.
Well done. That's
That
actually
was
a good
awesome.
explanation.
You're getting
Thanks, J-Dub. Appreciate it.
In the last one this is bonus question. You're doing great, by the way. So
I got a
far,
tickle in my
Have a
throat.
jelly bean.
Sorry.
Sometimes jelly bean.
Actually,
wash
this
it
might
down.
solve it.
Jelly bean will
We'll go with
solve your
red.
problems. And if it's a bad one, we need some description of
What flavor?
that was the shoe.
If you weren't tearing up before,
the
you
dirty
are now.
shoelace.
The Band-Aid? JW did have a Band-Aid float towards him on a lazy river on a
tearing
vacation
up.
one time.
What we got here? Is it normal?
It's bad.
No.
It's not normal.
But it got worse when I swallowed it.
Is it hot?
Is it spicy? Is it spicy?
Bean Boozled. Bean Boozled. You've been
It
being
tastes like,
Jill.
is there a,
Just say it because the probably answer is
like
yes.
tire blowout flavor?
Oh, yes.
It's got to be
Burnt
the
rubber?
Band-Aid.
That's
Is
prob-
there burnt
that's
rubber
probably
flavor?
the
Because I think that's
baby
it.
diaper blowout is probably the one I'm thinking of. Yes. So, congratulations, you have passed.
It's like
the
burnt
drug
rubber
test.
blowout.
Oh my gosh. I can't even read it. It's so small.
So,
Hope I don't get any more tickles in my throat.
thank you for trying the Bamboozled
Yeah.
challenge.
It was timing. It had to be a
Yeah.
timing thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Last
It had to do it
question.
at the right time.
What's a kill?
Kill is when you attack it doesn't have to just be an attack. It's anytime you there's a point scored on the other team where it hits the ground.
Yeah.
So like your setter can dump
Are you about to faint right
the
now?
ball. I'm okay, but
We're
like
getting-
it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is not going
Continue
away.
with the dump.
So if your setter, like on the second contact,
Yeah.
takes the ball over and scores, that can be a kill, but it would be a dump kill.
This is going so
A
well.
burnt rubber one.
Yes,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
The burnt rubber dump kill.
Congratulations, you have passed this test. Thank you
Yes.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
Your career, what's the best coaching moment you've ever had?
I'd love to say it was here. But I'd have to say it was like we went when we moved when I was at West Virginia, when we went from the Big East to the Big 12, we were not prepared for that with the players that we had. And we had a lot of freshmen. We went over, like didn't win a conference match actually we almost beat TCU, went to 5 with TCU at home and
Yeah.
didn't quite pull it out. But the second year, our first conference match was against Kansas State at home. And it was the 40th anniversary of the program. And actually that week, one of our starting outside hitters, who was from Montana, lost her mother.
Mm.
And so it was a really challenging week for our team. And, everyone was you wanted to crack that and win that match. But like, I think the bigger part of that was our team coming together for that kid, and winning that match was just probably just that group was a really special group.
That's a very cool answer.
That's a
and
great story.
that kind of stuff it's more important to me than,
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Now everybody's favorite question, your worst coaching moment.
Oh, so there's a lot of them. Man. Oh,
While you're thinking,
geez.
perhaps a jelly bean?
Yeah. Worst Bean Boozled moment?
Yeah. I mean, as a coach, there's some, and I think you try to put them out of your head and you try to learn from them. But I mean, I do remember also being here with that same team in a different, I don't know, when I was at WVU and at TCU for the first time, and we weren't performing.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really upset with them. And that was probably one of my worst moments, I would have to say.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving that some thought. It's never an easy question.
Yeah.
Okay. Currently, the Horned Frogs this season are, I believe, 8-9.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, you had a 3-1 victory over
Kansas State.
Kansas State. Excuse me.
It's okay.
Yes, you are 8-3 at home this year, which is great. And you're on the road. You guys are struggling. You're 0-5, 2-5 in the conference. Like you said, you won last night. Tonight, today's Friday. You have a game, another second match against Kansas State.
Yeah.
How are we approaching tonight's game?
Well, this doubleheader stuff is a little bit different. So a doubleheader, I don't mean the same day. Like we'll play the same team on back-to-back days, and that's really different. Like
Yeah.
it's honestly just not, it's a product of COVID, and we needed to do it. And the reason we're doing it 2 years is so that for competitive equity.
Mhm.
But it's not how volleyball was meant to be played. It's just not.
How does it mess you up? Because is it on the second night all the time, or sometimes it's on the first?
And it's, baseball's got to struggle with that too. I know they play 3 games in a row against the same team. And, but here's the thing, like you see the team once all year. So if you have somebody out, you're seeing them that same way both times. And,
you're
usually
playing
you
that
go
one
through
team. It's not like 2 games here, then 2 games there kind of thing. Yeah.
No. Well, and here's the other part of it is we used to play Wednesday, Saturday, and who knows how we come back to it. I think we'll be spread out in some way, shape, or form, but really sport is entertainment, right? Sport is entertainment. And volleyball actually gets really good attendance, and especially in the Metroplex.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many volleyball fans. There's so many young girls playing. And, we have a ton of teams that come, and it's the reason we moved into Shoal is because we just outgrew the Rickle. Like only seats 1,200, and that's why we could sell it out, right? So basically, you are not going to go to a movie on back-to-back nights. Like you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
You might go to ACL because it's got a different performer every night.
Right.
But you're not going to go watch the same concert 2 nights in a row. Like, why would you go watch the same match 2 nights in a row unless you're a parent or a family member? It's just not going to happen very often.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's the side of the entertainment piece, and we'll flip back to something different. But I just don't know what. But the cool thing for a staff is that you're scouting one opponent during the week. I mean, we spend a lot more time focused on our team and training our team and what we need to work on. And it is like opened our eyes to some of that of like, hey, we need to be better about making our team better and not put so much focus on, so much focus on how we're going to go against the opponent. But basically what it looks like today, we take, regardless, we're going to approach every match the same. And so, we've got, some of our players have school today, classes at different times. And so they'll come in at different times today, and they'll have a recovery session today. They will sit down with our assistant coaches and go through scout in a different way. Like, what changes do we need to make offensively and defensively from last night? And you treat that the same way, win or lose, right?
Yeah.
Like, just because you won doesn't mean there's not adjustments that you've got to make.
Yeah.
And so we'll look at all those things with them, and then, they're there, it's 6:30 match. They'll be there at 1:30 today. From then on, prepping for the match. So,
it's when JW mentioned the record on the road, now that you talk about playing like back to back, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, well,
like you're not just, you're in a foreign environment, like, all these things.
Well, also let me tell you, so our road matches have been Texas, who's number 1. We've played them twice. Wisconsin, who I don't know, I'm a voter for and I don't remember exactly what they are, but I think they're in the top. Wisconsin, I think, is in the top 4 right now.
That's correct.
Minnesota's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Those are 4 of our road matches.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and Iowa State, those could have gone either way.
Yeah.
First, and I will take responsibility for we played Minnesota, Wisconsin first weekend, and we didn't go back on the road till our matches against Iowa State. So had I would have maybe put one midweek match in there so we could get back on the road again, but whatever. So hindsight, right? Just whatever.
Yeah.
Learn and grow. But Iowa State 23 all, and we in first set, and we have a chance to go up. We're in the net and we make another error, right?
Yeah.
We get it handed to us in the second set, but then third set, same. We're right in it. It's like we were up, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was we were up by a lot. I think it was 22-18. And we just couldn't put it away. Right. Like, we've talked about this a lot. Like, we've got to have, and there's no one person on our team that is going to put the team on their back and go. That's not how this group is. And actually, the most successful teams I have ever coached have not been that way. It is really hard to put that on one person. And there's a lot that comes from that I think as a coach and a team you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And so and I'm thankful that this team is not that way. Like, they can, each of them have the talent and ability to step up at any given time. They really do. It's just confidence that they need to gain from that. So and I think we've done so much better with that lately. Night 2 we come back against Iowa State and we go to 5.
Right.
And really played hard. That this team has no quit. They really don't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We'll leave the gym, and I feel really good about them regardless of what's happened, because I know that they're going to come in and work hard the next day. They'll put the effort in.
Right.
They really got
Is
a good
it a young
mindset.
team this year? Is it or they all over?
In classification, not really. We've got 3. We've got 1 grad transfer. We've got who's been like such a great teammate, like amazing teammate.
Yeah.
She's a special person. She's getting her certificate in supply chain while she's here. We've got a 5th year, Danny Dennison, who now is the program record holder for digs, career digs. So she's our libero right now, and she's done great. And then we've got a defensive player who's getting her degree and finishing her degree in graphic design this year, who's a true senior. And they've been great for us. But our junior class is huge. There's like 8 or 9 in it. But here's the thing, like junior classes this year aren't your normal junior classes.
Yeah.
They've had a year and a half that they haven't really had real training. And so it is different. Like it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everyone feels this way, like if every coach feels that same way. But I do. I mean, all these girls have 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
They're juniors, but they've got 2 more years to play. And at least where it stands right now, they're staying, the majority of them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
All things being considered, you've done a great job.
Well, thanks.
So after tonight, you go to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Baylor comes.
Well, we have a bye this coming weekend where we get to do some community service and some,
Excellent.
Halloween. We get to
Okay.
have some trick or treating. Come by. Ryan Place. That's the best place to go trick or treating.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have the frog set up at my house and everything.
I have diabetes, Jill. I can't eat candy.
I'll have something for you. Don't you worry.
Some carrots.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're going to Lubbock. Baylor comes to town.
Yep.
Then you go to Kansas. Before we get to the finish, you finish up with WVU
Yeah.
right before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Biggest rivalry for the Frogs and you guys?
I mean, normal Baylor.
Baylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some trash talking going on at all. Do they do that?
I don't know. I don't know if they do. But Baylor's been very, very good.
Sure.
Like we kind of had their number at the beginning, and it's kind of flipped, but that we'll get it back. It's just part of how it ebbs and flows with your state of recruiting and where your team's at, and the youth or the,
Sure.
and they're a group that has really, I mean, they probably more than anyone has hit the gold mine with COVID. Like they had so many seniors last year, and they've got a lot of that, right?
Of that. Yeah, get another year.
And you're going to see that from like there's going to be a lot of recruiting of like if you talk to Jamie, there's going to be a lot of recruiting from the portal. I'm sure football's doing it too. A lot of sports.
Right. As we wrap this up, Jill, the portal has become a nuisance in college sports. Mm-hmm. We lose people all the time. You gain people all the time.
Yep.
What is the portal in the shortest possible answer? I mean,
yeah, sure.
How has that affected your life adversely or positively?
It probably takes you as a coach out of it. You don't see it coming as quickly. I got to tell you, it's just an easy way to go about it.
Somebody gets unhappy on the team for playing time, whatever. They're just gone.
You have the wrong person in their head outside of your program, and that's it. And I know we didn't get to talk about it. Maybe we do it another time. But I think NIL I think it's amazing. I think we've got a lot of great opportunities for it at TCU. And I think Jeremiah has hit it out of the park with our business school dean. Like it's just been awesome.
It's funny that you say that because there's from folks we've talked to, there's been some apprehension on from the established sports and kind of the highly prone, but then other sports like this, that you think can bring it up. Like it's interesting. It would be interesting to poll and see how many not as established sport or not that your sport's not established. I'm not saying it that way.
No, but it's not a revenue sport.
Right. Like something like that.
Yeah. No, it's just, I mean, I've been in Tuscaloosa. I've been in Morgantown. I've been in these small towns, and we're just in we're in this prime location for young women to be able, and I mean, for Instagram at TCU, I think it goes football has the most, followers, and then maybe baseball. And I think it's volleyball.
Yeah. Outstanding.
I mean, it's because of of our audience.
Yeah.
It's the people who utilize social media.
So, I did notice on one of these photos, I noticed
that deals with your last question, your haunted question.
Yeah.
This one right here.
So I've noticed you're wearing 3/4 top shoes there. You did have high tops on in another photo. And
those are ankle braces.
Okay. And then you do have high tops on. So is high tops your thing? Like, do you wear them as a coach or?
No, I wear heels.
Oh,
You clearly have not watched a match.
Well, do you have to? I mean,
Clearly.
is there a dress code for coaches? Like, can you?
No, it's
wear-
all different. I went with like athleisure last year with COVID because I was just
with
it
the
was
high tops,
so
like rocking the
much.
high tops, or no?
I don't
like
even
more
know.
of a
It was.
low
I
cut?
don't even know.
Do volleyball players wear like a low top, or what is the like, or for the
It's
ankle
like a
support
volleyball
high
shoe.
top?
Yeah, it's a pretty like you wear
Three-quarter?
ankle braces usually or tape. But no, my uniform, I guess, or is I like to get it's the like the one time I get to dress like a normal person.
Yeah.
You know, and I really like shoes, so I wear a lot of heels.
We always ask the guests this: no family stuff. We had somebody break that last time.
Oh, okay.
We straight up said no family.
They're banished from the show forever.
And then, you know, in a great like political answer, they started talking family. Best day.
Don't be
I'm
nervous.
so lost right now.
Best day of your life. Non-familial. Like you can't say, you know, like
that's
the
why
day
we
I
put
married
this,
women.
that's why this is on the screen, just to help if you needed a little help. Jill in 2007 was inducted in the TCU Hall of Fame. A big moment, and no doubt indeed. But if there's something bigger, please.
Oh yeah, thanks for letting her answer the question about
I'm just
her best
I'm
day of her
telling
life,
her
J-Dub.
about the slide here, Brenton, so you have some context.
He's got a couple of answers for me coming up too, Jill. So
I don't know. I don't really. I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Well, that's why we have you here for this.
We've got
you have
damn
eight
day,
seconds
Jill.
to tell us the best day of your whole life.
And I can't use my marriage, huh?
No, you definitely cannot.
Even if I drove to Vegas and got married at 5 a.m., I still can't use that. I think that's not right.
We could hear the story just to verify if it's
no. I mean, we had to get married, right? He had no social security number.
Okay.
Vegas is the only place you could go.
Okay.
And we got to do this week, or you got to go back, and who knows when it's going to happen.
Where was the locale?
The county courthouse. I had no money.
The little chapel under the stars.
Heck no! I was in a black turtleneck, and we drove for 18 hours straight, nonstop.
That's what it is to Vegas from here.
Fantastic.
Was it from here?
From San Antonio.
18
or 21, something like that. Yeah.
Like
no sleep.
What was the split? We're not married at that time,
end.
so is there?
How
did we celebrate the moment? Did we gamble? Did we go dancing? What did we do?
We went to IHOP on the Strip.
Yes.
And the meal ordered, and each meal ordered was the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity.
No, I love country griddle cakes are my thing.
Yeah, that's
all right. So West Virginia,
they don't have them
that's your
anymore.
time in Morgantown, huh?
You can't take Morgantown out of.
Thank you,
Jill Kramer. Thank you for joining us. Go check out the TCU women's volleyball team. They're worth your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.